Yes, all good. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And a very warm welcome to all of you. Whoever I have not said hello to, please hello to everyone. And a very, very warm welcome to everyone today on this session. So to begin right off the bat, today the topic is what do I mean when I keep saying there is no one outside? Now, I've been saying this for 4 years and more now. There is no one outside. There is no one outside. And so it's a little bit late in the day that I'm picking up this topic because I keep saying it in every webinar. But many a times, this is a matter of fun and we just need topics to go through again and again. These are simply reminders to you. So today, just to discuss this topic, what is it that I mean when I say there is no one outside? It was a funny one because yesterday in one of the groups that I am in, somebody said, "Samne wo 80 kilo ka insan dikh raha hai," and me says, "There is no one outside. There is no one outside." And it was so much fun. They knew what they were talking about, and I also knew. But I can almost understand that so many times we have a little bit of disengagement when the outside actor is in the middle of their act. The outside actor is doing something, creating an emotion in you, behaving in a certain way that they are making their presence felt. Sometimes nice presence and many a times not so nice presence. But when they are making their presence felt nicely, we don't have to question, oh, there's no one outside. And we normally don't. We just like, oh, such a sweet person. Oh, they're so nice, etc., etc. But when they're doing something where they're being triggers to us, and that's the time where we got to look within to see what are they triggering us for, that's the time that it becomes a little bit difficult to forget that outside no one exists. What do you mean by no one exists? He's not just existing, he's also being mean and this and controlling and creating these emotions in me, this anxiety in me, this fear in me. And you are saying he does not exist? Yeah, I'm only saying that he does not exist. Even sometimes, just a second, somebody on. Yeah, let me just mute everybody. Even sometimes when we understand that this journey is about keeping ourselves happy, is about keeping and bringing ourselves back into masti each time through many of the tools that I keep giving, but most importantly, the tool of releasing, looking within and releasing that tool. But even so, many a times when we are bringing ourselves to masti, and I've heard this from several people as well, that, oh, no matter what he is saying, I'm able to bring myself back to masti. No matter what he is doing, that fellow is just constantly on my case. But even when he's on my case, I'm able to bring myself back on masti track. Even when that happens, just very recently, like there was this young kid who kept saying that, oh, he's doing all of this stuff and he's just, he's always thinking and telling me, how can you keep laughing? How can you keep doing this? But I'm always in masti and, he can do whatever he wants to do. And this face was exactly like this. He can do whatever he wants to do. And I kept telling her, I said, even over here, that person is existing for you. And not just is he existing, but he is creating a lot of separation in you. You're bringing yourself to masti while feeling everything about him. Oh, he's not in masti. He's like this. He's like that. The finger, oh, I'm in masti. I'm having so much fun. You might be having fun, but the finger is still roaming around somewhere. The finger is still on him somewhere, judging him. And yet, yes, you know the tool. You know the tool. The first tool of release is look into the candle and ask yourself, what am I feeling? And so you're able to do that tool and you're able to release your anger, your anxiety. And yet a part that remains is you're still judging him for who he is. You're still judging him. As you judge him for who he is, this line, there is no one else, is meant to bring, it is meant to bring this internalization of this one aspect of yours that you haven't seen. Who is he? Who is she? It is my part. This is also a part of me only. Oh, this one is always so angry and so resentful towards the world. I'm not like that. Well, excuse me, remind yourself, you were just like this a few months ago, a few weeks ago. And that person is still just simply reflecting that part of you. You now want to disassociate with that aspect of yourself. And so that part has come to you to show you, excuse me, you cannot disassociate, you have to accept. You have to accept. And so even when I look outside and say, no matter what, in my place, I am sitting in deep sense of peace and calm and masti and joy. In that moment itself, please look at the joy itself. In the joy, is there separation from someone? Because if there is separation from someone, that separation is still work that you need to do on yourself. When I look at this line and I keep saying it, there is no one outside, there is no one outside. I'm actually telling you that in both, in looking at a person outside, you have to look at two places. One, what is the emotion that that person is creating in you? And that is the emotion that the screen play is made up of. That person is here to show you what frequency of yours are you writing the script from. It's your script. If anger is being created in you, if sadness is being created in you, if guilt is being created in you, then these are all the emotions that hold, in your energy field, and they have come for release. They have come for release. That is the question, what am I feeling? And when you've done that process, the second part, equally important, because when you release, you're like, oh, I'm above all this. And there is nothing to be above and below all this, because that person, whatever he is feeling, whatever he is showing to you, that too is a part of you only. And so the other question that you would ask is, how am I judging him or her? And the way that you are judging him or her is actually the way that you judge yourself. So let us say now you sit in a lot of masti, then now you are judging yourself in the entire time that you were sitting in choo-choo cha-cha. It's still your judgment, and now it's a judgment towards your own past self, the self that might have been there a few weeks ago, a few months ago, maybe years ago. However, it's come up to be accepted that, listen, I'm also a part of your journey only. When we move in this journey of going within and we move through steps, we are not leaving the steps behind. We are actually integrating with the steps. And that is how we become more and more whole. If we keep leaving things behind, oh, I'm no longer this, I don't move with this, that place itself is a place of separation. And so this judgment on the other is simply a judgment that you make on yourself, on your past self. And so the past self has come to receive love. And how are they going to come? They're going to come on the screen through somebody else. So when they come through somebody else, what will Meenal say? There is no other, there is no other. But what I mean when I say there is no other is to look at all of the emotions and all of the judgments that you have formed while looking at another. Yes, that other exists and they have their own journey. They have their own journey. You have your journey, which is now moving towards more awareness and some pieces of unawareness, and then more awareness. And that's your journey. And it brings you a lot of ease and grace. But just because you've now found this path of ease and grace, you're now like, usko dekho, nonsense. He constantly likes to be in the difficult path. Arey, there is no he, that is you only. Just a few weeks ago, just a few months ago. And so separation to be looked at even over here towards somebody whose path you might change, you might want to change somebody's path you do not like. And still, you might be looking at that with some kind of, condemnation or some such thing like that. Each of these where there exists a you and a me. Oh, well, you and a me. Wherever there exists a you and a me, then over there, separation is there. Separation will always be there. Separation will always be there. Why? Because we are on earth in the body form. So there will never be any time where we would have completely, totally, fully, forever lost the separation. And that is why the work on ourselves, because earth is all about duality, is the characteristic of earth that we keep going into separation. And when we do experience separation, what frequency are we tuned in? We can decide on that frequency, because can you imagine, even the most beautiful frequencies of devotion are all about separation. When I'm devoted to someone, I'm still looking at them in that moment. When I'm experiencing the frequency of devotion, I'm looking at them as a separation from me. They're outside of me. And then the next minute only, I'm able to feel the oneness with them. And I say to myself, I am me, or I am Shiva, or whatever it is that I wish to experience oneness with. And so even the frequency of devotion is a frequency of separation, and we are not running away from separation. Separation is simply an experience as much as oneness is. Yeah, oneness looks very sexy, feels very sexy. However, it's just an experience. So when we sit in the place of judging, oh, I always want to be in oneness, I never want to move into the frequencies of separation, understand that even surrender is a frequency of separation. I sit here and I surrender to you. And so in that moment, a you exists. But the frequency of surrender brings so much of joy and lightness with it. So we can choose the frequency of surrender. We can choose the frequency of devotion, and it'll give us those experiences. So we are not running away from separation, but to bring us into oneness, to experience that, we have to look at everybody on the outside and see only ourselves. And yeah, I can say to everybody, till cows come home, that yeah, you have to only see yourself. You can't be seeing anybody else. But even this play of seeing yourself as separate and seeing yourself as one, even this is frequency play. This also is simply about the frequencies. When you're in the frequencies of heart, you will be able to experience more of oneness with that which you consider outside. So even over here, the first step would be for you to look within and to see, what am I feeling? What frequencies am I operating from right now? If they are the frequencies of separation, what separation frequencies are they? Because the highest frequencies and joyous frequencies of separation would be these about surrender. Actually, every frequency, when you are in the unawares, the frequency is something that will keep showing up, but your finger is always going to be outside. And the more aware you become, the more in oneness you can be with yourself, in oneness with yourself, the more the outside world will begin to dissolve. To every problem, to every issue that you face in life, why is this happening? But when is this going to change? But what is he doing? And why isn't he like that? And what will happen? All of these questions can be answered by one simple question, which would be, what am I experiencing? Through this outside event where I feel that the universe is not playing in my favor. That's our first thought. Oh my God, why is this happening to me? The universe is not playing in my favor. But in that moment, when we can stop our eyes from looking outside and simply turn the finger inwards, and in that moment, there is no other. This event is only being created from my frequencies. And the finger comes back over here. And from this place, that there is no other, you sit in this powerful place of the creator. No matter what you've been creating, even if you've been creating 28 years of sadness, but it puts you in the place of recognition of the awesome creator that you are. You could create out of nothing You could create events and events and events of sadness for so long. How amazing is that, that you have created everything that has happened in your life? Is this the place of sitting in complaint? No, as a matter of fact, this is the place of sitting in power. The power that I am, it's my energy that's creating my entire universe. When you have the finger out, oh, this exists, not only he exists, he is creating this for me and that for me, and he's creating problems, and he's the one at work that I have to constantly, tolerate. I wouldn't want that. Then the power has suddenly gone out to him. He has to change. He has to make you feel good. Now your happiness is pegged on him. On days that that person is behaving nicely with you, yeah, you'll feel happy. And on days that that person is not behaving nicely with you, now you're also going up and down in that boat. And why is that? Because you put your finger on the outside saying, he exists and he holds the key to my happiness. And not one key. We distribute that key in so many different ways to so many different people. And when you begin to put this whole story back, yes, you can see the 80 kilo ka insan. You can see that 80 kgs worth of fellow right in front of you. But are you going to look at him as a person, or are you going to look at him as a reflection of your energy, a reflection of you? That makes the difference between looking in and looking out. A role that we take on all the time, a role of the mother, the father, and even the responsible child. To your parents, you want to be the responsible child. To your children, you want to be a responsible parent, and whatever. And that role sucks you in. And those tiny little things are the cutest and most capable of making you forget that there is no one outside. Because the minute it comes to your children, you suddenly take on this protective, oh no, I have to protect them. I have to care for their future. I have to worry for this. I have to be preparing for this. I have to make way for their future. And the more we sit in this space, the more of an outside person we can see. And we keep sitting in this responsibility to somebody else on the outside. The more we sit in this place, the more weight we take on our shoulders. And then something will happen. One instance, one small little, thing which will tell you, oh my God, no matter how much you want to control what is going to happen to them, you have no idea what their energy is attracting. In the next minute, what is the creation? You have no idea. From the world being this way, the world can suddenly turn over to a completely new paradigm. It can be completely, whatever you've thought, whatever dreams and plans and purposes you've created in your head, because you could see a small little child outside and you thought not only is it your responsibility, but your dreams and aspirations are now going to belong to them as well. What exactly are you bringing yourself to more and more? More weight on your shoulders, more unhappiness when that person who is operating as per their own energy is going to start to willy-nilly all your plans. And then what are you going to do? Oh, you'll have to come to terms with that. And this coming to terms, because there was someone outside and they're not following the plan A, B, C that I made. They've got a plan Z that's coming up. I never thought of that. They can't. So much of attachment, expectations from the outside, because there exists a person outside. The minute we see the person outside, attachments and expectations, and then therefore the triggers. So when we can look at the expectations that we have created from these not so tiny little creatures called kids, and maybe your aging parents, we tend to do the same thing. We tend to mother both of those people, the ones that are the kids and the ones that are the older parents. We tend to mother because we forget that their energy field is the one that is creating their future, past, present. and we want to control it, then what will happen? Only link from expectations and attachment is hurt. So you're going to have to sit in hurt, and to be able to accept, well, man proposes and God disposes. All of that stuff is going to happen to you in that moment, but that happens only because there was another outside. When we work on expectations and attachments, we are not just releasing them from the weight of our expectations. As a matter of fact, we are actually releasing the expectations and the weight from our own shoulders. Why? Because there exists no other. And so when we begin to figure out that, these are all my expectations and my attachments and my linkages to heartbreak, when I look at myself and see where all I am already sitting in places and I have judgments about the self, judgments about my own self. When you turn the finger within, all of this heaviness of the role of this costume that we are all wearing, the heaviness of that costume can be released. We will continue to wear the costume. Many people ask me, so we should not do anything for the children. You're just saying we should leave them on the road. We shouldn't be doing anything for the children. Array, today, where are you doing it from? It's a role. It's your role. It has been given to you by that person. You are playing a role in their life, and they are playing a role in your life. But the quicker that we begin to see that outside is simply a play of our expectations, outside is simply a play even of our attachments, those kids that have come through us are not operating as per our defined standards. The minute we are able to see that and release our expectations in the form of seeing an outside someone. So when I constantly tell you there are no children, the children are 4 crores year old, and they are also coming with their own energy, the line being, look only at yourself and what all your children are triggering for you. What all places are the children, what all frequencies of yours are they bringing to your notice? When you begin to understand that the children are also, children will have a demand every day. Oh, I need 2,000 rupees today. Tomorrow I need 10,000. And with this, you are like, how do I provide for my children? What are you sitting in? Oh, I don't have this kind of money. What are you sitting in? Oh, my child is going to the dogs. He's completely getting the bad habits. What are you sitting in? When you begin to look at your own energies, you will actually find that all these demands which you consider unreasonable, the demands will completely disappear. But why will they disappear? Because the work is always on the self. You were meant to experience your lack. And when the lack has been experienced from your end and it has been let go of, then those creators of lack for you, those actors that were creating lack for you, will completely calm down as well. If you don't have lack in you, if you're not tuning into the lack frequency, an outside actor even saying something will not bring you into the frequency of lack. It will not. It will no longer be a trigger for you. Then will your child not miss out? Whatever he's asking for, I work on my lack and I never provide anything for him. I just simply work on my lack. Even this thought, if it's coming to your head, just simply take a look. Where is this thought coming from? What am I feeling? I'm feeling fear that my child will miss out. If I'm not responsible, I will be responsible for my child's downfall. I will be responsible for my child not getting the best in this universe, the best. Whatever we give to the child, it's only what we think we are giving. He will only take whatever his energy allows him to take. You can give him the best, you can give him as much money, but through all the money, if his energy is of lack and he is choosing to experience lack, he will find ways to experience lack through you as well. It might not be to do with money, it might have to do with love. Oh, you gave me all the money, but you never gave me love. They might give you that dialogue. And if they're giving you the dialogue again, oh, I did so much for them and they're not even, here's the hurt. They're not even thankful for what all I had to do and blah, blah, blah. Here is the hurt. Again, why? Because the finger is on someone called a child. There's a finger on someone, whereas a role player and actor. I only take a child as an example because these are the most, the most vulnerable as we see them, that, oh, these are the ones that have been put on earth so that we can take care of them. No, 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 no. These are the ones who've been put on earth to show us our frequencies, just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. And so when we begin to actually see the play of the energies, our energies, through this process, what will happen? You will actually find that the more judgments you release for the self, the more love you hold for yourself, the more love you will receive from children, from non-children, for every actor outside. Why? Because there's simply a reflection. And if you're holding love for yourself, so it's not even about being able to give love to the children. It's only about being able to love yourself. And the more you love yourself, you're going to find that is coming back to you, because the universe doesn't work in what I say and what I do. It does not work on my words. It does not work on my actions. It works on vibrations. Everything in the universe is energy. And so every vibration of yours going out, coming back right at you. And you create a little bit more of that vibration. And then you come to one such class where they show you that you only need to look at your vibration. Even then, you're sometimes not sure as to how to look at the vibration. And so that very easy question for you can't get simpler than this. What am I feeling? What am I feeling? Because no one else exists. And that is what I mean. If the finger hasn't come back on you, the stories and stories and stories will go on and on. There will be no end of the stories, because each story, no matter how much solution you wish to find outside, but if the finger is on outside and making somebody else comfortable, oh, I want them to have a comfortable life. Yes, but the universe is operating from your frequency. So while you wish to give them a comfortable life, what is your frequency? 99% of the time, if you haven't looked within, it's going to be worry and anxiety and fear. That is 99% of our game, our story, that we're constantly operating from the place of worry, fear, anxiety. And if that is the case, your words of so much love, I love you, my child, so much of care I give to you, the frequency being of worry, they will constantly give you more and more stories. Those stories will happen on the outside that you will continue to experience more and more worry. Why? Because your frequency of worry simply getteth more worry from the outside. And the more we look on the outside, oh, that exists and that exists, the more the power is gone there. Now wait for them to change. Whereas, oh, this is simply my energy, my frequency. Now no waiting needed, because it's just a frequency. You can change it as soon as you have begun to observe it. As soon as you observe it that, oh, it's just a frequency and I'm playing in so many frequencies, I can change it at any point in time to another frequency. And then you have so many different tools. Come to the frequency of Meenal, come to the frequency of joy, come to the frequency of money. These are just some of the tools. You want to tune into the frequency of Sai? Of course, tune into the frequency of Sai. What is the formula there? Oh, it's a big secret, because it goes like, I am the frequency of Sai. That's all there is to it. When you are the powerful one, when outside no Sai exists, then what? I take the frequency of Sai, I am Sai. That's the only line. I take energy from money, I am money. I take energy from Meenal, I am Meenal. I take energy from Meenal, that Meenal might seem to be outside, but we are not talking about the bodies here. We are talking about Meenal, that is the frequency of Masti, the frequency of joy. Where does that frequency belong to then? It belongs to you only. Through that tuning into some name, some channel, you are simply fine-tuning your own frequencies of joy and Masti. Whose Masti and whose joy increases when you are into these frequencies of oneness? Your own joy, your own frequency. And so the minute, even me, I tell people, don't see me. I don't exist. Just like there is no other, even I am not there. Of course, I exist, but this is my story. This is my universe. But in your universe, again, I am simply a reflection. So if you are looking at me and seeing me as the mother, if you are looking at me and you are seeing me as the Devi, then let me tell you, I don't exist because there is no other. What am I reflecting back at you? I am reflecting back at you the frequency of mother that you are. I'm reflecting back at you the frequency of divinity, Devi, whoever, the frequency of Devi that you are. Yes, you can't see it right now and you can see it outside, but that's the tiny little bit of separation. And that's the earth way to be able to see separation. But the more and more you work on this line, there exists no other. You will be able to see that I am in you, with you, as you. Just like anger is in you, with you, as you. Joy is in you, with you, as you. Every frequency is in you, with you, as you. And it's all a game of frequencies. The more we look at frequencies, the easier it is to solve the riddle. To solve the riddle, it's just a game, but the game too, the puzzle simply falls open when you are able to figure out what frequency of yours, and then secondly, to complete the story, in what all ways am I judging that other? So the story is not fully complete when you've simply only looked at the emotions, because while you might have released, as I said, that person was releasing all of their emotions and coming into masti, but unless you figured out all the judgments that you hold for yourself, for your past self, for your future self, all only part of yourself. And so whenever you're looking at anybody and you're not finding it palatable as to what they're speaking, what they are doing, and you're like, no, they live in too much of negativity. They do this, they do that. Well, they're simply reflecting back at you the parts of you that are negative. Even negativity, there is nothing called negativity. It's simply a frequency play. When you're sitting in sadness, you feel sad. You call it negative. When you're sitting in anger, you feel angry. You call it negative. When you're sitting in joy, you feel joyful and you call it positive. But anger, sadness, joy. The universe simply works on vibrations. It doesn't name or judge frequencies. If you're sitting in sadness and it makes you feel sad, and now you're even fearful of your sadness, it's simply another frequency that you've tuned into, and something on the outside, a story might be created. But the easier path, the faster method to get, to catch that story and to get back to solving that story, to releasing your emotion. And that's how the process works. So two things, mention them again and again. Firstly, where all emotions you're tuned into. And secondly, the judgments that you have created for yourself. They have come to be accepted. And the very easy way, simply to sit in the one that you are judging. We only do this now. Oh, I'm making fun of him. What parts of him am I making fun of? Oh, I'm making fun of him because he's so shy and he's so within himself and he doesn't listen to logic and he doesn't do this. Okay, I'm exactly the same person is what you say to yourself. You ask yourself, where all am I equally shy? Am I equally, limited in my logic? Am I equally closed to ideas? The universe will throw up 5 different situations where you're exactly like them. And with that, the judgment towards yourself can drop because, oh, he's like that. And so Nidhi Jain. Oh, well, that was fun. Okay. A lot of outside players we heard right now, and they even over there to understand whatever the stories are created, each one of them, the story is only for them in their own universe. and nobody on the outside exists. Nobody on the outside exists. With this, I'm actually going to take up some questions from all of you. If you have any questions, please let me just read them out. Okay. Wonderful. And that's okay. That's fun. Yeah, Nidhi says, sorry. Yeah, that's fun. So yeah, Darshan, you wish to ask a question.
Yeah, the question is, I understand this whole thing was not new as we are here, but as we said, the generations are evolving. So how can we link that with frequency? Generations over a period of so many years, it has been evolving. So is that also that frequency is evolving?
The frequency is constantly shifting, and then generations, yeah? You pick up a fun question. So I'm going to actually laugh at this one, because when somebody says, but Buddha left his home to go to the jungles, and over there he received enlightenment. And I say, yeah, I only had to leave home because it was me only who left home all those years ago. But now I've come to actually experience how it is to not leave home, sit in nice air conditioning, and then receive enlightenment right here only. So who are the past generations? It's me only. To understand that whenever you are looking at generations, you're still looking at outside. That there is somebody called a generation, but energy keeps coming again and again into experiences to experience so many different ways of every frequency. So just to give you a small little example, when you were growing up, okay, let us say when you were 5 years old, and when you used to go out to play, and the kind of fear that your parents felt was much lower than the kind of fears that you feel when your 5-year-old child might go out to play. Are you with me on this? That, we think that
Yeah.
the fears were much less, and now the fears are much more. Guess what has happened to the frequency of fear? Just like everything else, the frequency of fear is also going up. So the frequencies are constantly moving. Every frequency. When you and I sit in more surrender, when you and I, we are actually growing the frequency of surrender for the universe. So if you've already experienced this level of surrender, yeah, and now you leave the body, and God knows for whatever reason you decide to come back to earth, whatever you've already experienced, why will you come back to experience that? You'll come for making a new level of it, no? So not just you talk about generations evolving, I say every frequency is growing, not just, the intelligence or whatever you want to call that the intelligence is growing. And then we are becoming better at this or that. We are becoming better at everything. We are becoming better at even fearing. We are becoming better at even feeling more anxiety. We are becoming better at joy. We are becoming better at every frequency, because we keep coming here and here again to increase the frequency for the universe through our experiences. So that's evolution of every frequency there is, not just in the body terms, what we call evolution of the man, but in energy frequency terms, every frequency is growing.
Got it.
What? Sorry? Got it, Bita? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the in science terms or whatever, we might just measure the evolution with respect to the body, or with respect to technology, with respect to how much we know. But when we are talking about energies and that, absolutely nothing is stationary. Everything is constantly moving. Energy is constantly moving. It's a fluid state at all times. And that is why, it's constantly changing, constantly. There's not a minute of, you might not be doing anything, but the energy is not staying stable. It's constantly growing. It's constantly refining itself. It's constantly becoming more and more acute. Like as in the frequency of surrender is becoming more acute, and so is the frequency of fear. It's growing more and more, and the experiences are therefore defined by the new frequencies each time. The new frequency of fear. So Corona was an absolute new frequency of fear. It was amazing because it put, more than half the world into fear. And so that's absolutely the growth of the fear. That's complete evolution of the fear frequency. And why is it growing, and what can we do so that fear doesn't grow? Array, no. Earth is the place where we came to experience fear. So this is all happening in perfection. This is already in perfection. The quicker you experience all the fear and then you're done with it and you come out of that, and then you're out into fearlessness. And now that's another play. Doesn't belong to the earth, but we are sitting here on earth and experiencing fearlessness. We've already finished our revolutions around the earth. Yes, Deepa, you have a question?
Yes, Nima. So, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So, the question is like what I every time feel when, like you say there is no one outside or no. But this happens only with that particular person. If I have a frequency of anger or like or whatever, but it not shows me with the other people outside, only with that particular people.
So you
person.
actually are hoping that it will show up with everybody?
No,
You
no,
want
no.
that to be shown by 20 people, then it would make you happier?
No, no, no. But how that one person only triggers?
Because you gave that role. I'm so sorry to say that you only gave that role to one person. You should
Okay.
actually distribute that role to 28 people so that 28 people can make you feel angry and disgusted and disappointed and everything. You're actually saying, oh, it's just one person, so I'm not happy that only one person has that role. Okay, sit and make a deep prayer to Mani that I want this to be done for 28 people, 20 all around me. Why only one person should show this? I don't want to see this only from one person. I want to see it from 15 people.
Yeah.
तथास्तु हो जाएगा.
नहीं, नहीं,
तुम उसी की तरफ उंगली करके रखो. Keep your finger only on that person, because this is what you're doing. Oh, that person only does this, and that person is the one at fault. Because otherwise, why it shouldn't happen with everybody? Why only with that person? Only because you gave that role only to one person. Your energy was being kind to you by limiting that role to only one person, but you're not happy with that. You're actually saying, why only one person? It should be more. More people should be doing that. That's at least how I'm reading your question. You're unhappy about that person. I'm saying, okay, all right, you're unhappy about one person. How about 20 people do that role? Will you be happier?
No, no, no.
The work is within, and you completely put the finger on the outside. And when the finger stays outside, what will it do? It will never change the scenario. It's as easy as that. That person shows you your anger, your finger is on that person. Then you create more anger, and then the story continues, because then he creates more anger, and then your finger is on the other person and you create more anger. I just took that exact example. Joy will create joy, anger will only create anger. The universe doesn't listen to, oh, that person is so bad, that person is so terrible. The universe is not listening. The universe is listening to your frequency, and on the plate comes your frequency back at you. That's it. That's all it is doing. So when one person is doing it, I'm telling you, right now it's only one person. You keep growing it, it will be 15 people. Because that's your frequency. Then the more it is now, 3 kilos ki bajai, now it's 150 kilos of anger. Now one person is not sufficient in delivering that to you. Okay, then let 28 people deliver the 50 kilos of anger to you. It belongs to you. It has to be delivered to you.
Thank God I asked this question. Now I will take care of it.
Now, firstly, you be in gratitude to that person. Ki thank you for taking this role. Sirf तूने ही लिया है. Thank you.
सच में, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you to that one person who has taken on the entire villain role into one person only. उसको villain का role क्यों दिया तूने? ये तू अपनी energy में पूछ. And the question to ask is, which energy of mine is creating this outside? And you already named it. Anger, resentment, something. This is your energy field. which has written the script for that person. Your other energies have created the script for the other people. But if you're going to keep looking at him and sitting in anger and more anger, tathastu, even without me saying it.
आँख खुल गई आज मेरी.
Shabash.
Thank you.
Kanupriya. Yeah, Kanupriya.
Good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you.
So my question is, I've been releasing my expectations from an outcome, but
Yeah.
somehow all the situations, even though I've let it go completely, somehow each and every event is pointing to that outcome, and
Yeah.
I am getting excited when that happens.
Yeah.
But the moment I speak to the person who's involved in the outcome, I feel
Yeah.
different emotion. So when you say that I look within, I've been working on it, then why is it showing me two separate, like it's excitement and sadness?
So
Like,
cute. These are both your frequencies. Keep the excitement and release the sadness. I'm not saying don't be excited. I'm always running in a state of excitement for everything. छोटी से छोटी चीज में मुझे तो इतना excitement हो जाता है. You know, whenever right now I'm preparing for a couple of trips to go out and everything. Oh my God, so excited. But not attached to an outcome doesn't tell you that you can't be excited about life. As a matter of fact, you'll find more things to be excited about life because you're not only attached to one specific outcome. Oh, I'll be excited if this happens. But then if it doesn't happen, I'll be so sad. Yeah. But then when you've released your outcome, you are allowed to be excited about that. And when it comes through, you're excited about that. But when it doesn't come through, you have 28 things you're still excited about. Joy. Excitement is all about joy. And I'm not saying you don't be in joy. Observe your joy and grow the joy.
yes, ma'am.
So observe your joy. And the beautiful part about it is outcome. So you're working on your outcome. But outcomes are really amazing, cute little buttons for making us go out and into the story. Yeah. So when you're able to release the outcome, what will remain inside you? Joy. So you get excited about whatever the things are shaping up. But the minute you get excited, now you're thinking, oh, that outcome is going to come true. That outcome is going to come true. And you become attached with it. It is like a round and round merry-go-round. You come to that place. What will you do then? Don't worry. You keep releasing whenever you can feel your sadness. Your finger on what am I feeling when sadness is around. And when you put your finger on the sadness and you release the sadness, also this other person, whoever's handling the project and blah, 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 when I speak to him, I feel sad. Okay, what does that person show me? And are you making any judgments about that person? You know, then the finger is outside and exists outside. And that's what we are talking about, that when we have the finger on the outside, then we are stopping ourselves from feeling that power of creation.
Yes,
We're
yes.
actually not feeling the power of our creation because now my happiness is in his hands. And bloody idiot is not giving me happiness, he's giving me sadness. No, the sadness belongs to you. And so you will look into the sadness and release it and be able to look at him as the actor who's playing out your frequencies. Excitement as a frequency is wonderful, but excitement will keep putting you into the outcome place. And the more it does that, every moment to moment, whenever you become aware, you release it. The game is always going to be of awareness. That's the game. The entire life is a game of awareness. And okay, fine. So 5 minutes, I didn't catch myself in awareness. So why? 5 minutes later, when I come to the aware space, only a few questions to be asked. What am I feeling? What is he showing me? What
Yes,
part
yes.
of mine has come for acceptance? And what energy of mine has come for acceptance? And then release. Wonderful. Sapna, let's talk to you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi. Ma'am, my question today is I just experienced theft. So, I really wanted to understand, did I really attract it? How did it happen? And this was something very unexpected. I
Theft is
cannot.
meant to be unexpected only, ना चोर बता के थोड़ी आएगा आज शाम को 5 बजे तेरे घर आ रहा हूँ ऐसे थोड़ी बता के आएगा unexpected मतलब क्या of course
No, but the situation was quite, very unexpectedly, I just
but you
stand at
experienced
loss
theft.
of,
Okay.
things, the theft has happened. So, if you could please help me understand how did
I
I
will.
do this?
Yeah, I'll help you understand how will you do this. Okay, so theft. And when you think about the thief, okay, what all are you feeling?
Right
Or
now,
right
I
now,
have mixed feelings.
when the moment you discover, let's start from there. The moment you discovered that there was theft, what did you feel?
So I felt sad and cheated. I felt, really disappointed that, how can people do something like this? How could you cause someone, uh, whatever, pain, distress?
Yes,
Uh,
yes. How beautiful. You've named your frequencies. Okay. All of these are frequencies. Disappointment is a frequency. Sadness is a frequency. And thinking somebody is a cheat is from the place of mistrust, right? So the frequencies that will create an outside event of theft is the frequency, as we heard from her, the frequencies that she went through were sadness and anger, because how can somebody do this? And from sadness and anger to feeling cheated. So the frequency of mistrust, and the frequency of mistrust is in all of us. The frequency of mistrust is what creates, it's the fear of someone. So when I hold a fear of someone, fear of anyone, then I don't trust them. And that's the fear that no, they can do something. And when we go around holding that fear of another, that there is somebody else outside there and they can harm me, they can take away from me. In those places, that fear of mistrust. But what is mistrust? Mistrust itself is a frequency. We play in this frequency of separation. It's a frequency of complete separation, the mistrust. And we play in it all the time. We also, all the time. And you might say, no, I'm otherwise a very trusting person. When somebody asks me that, I have a very, in the room full of people, I will always ask this fun question. And it is, if you are so trusting, when you leave house, do you lock your doors? Do you lock your doors? If you lock the doors, why are you locking them? Why are you locking the doors? Because you mistrust. Because you're like, somebody can come in and somebody can take away everything that belongs to me. And so that fear of losing that which belongs to me, and the frequency of mistrust that somebody else can do that. So that frequency of mistrust keep manifesting. Yeah. And many times in many different ways, you'll sometimes come across organizations who will cheat you. These days on the internet, there is an amazing, a number of scams that are going through. Yeah. And in those scams, people are constantly getting cheated. But why? Because frequency of mistrust is so common. I will simply give you what. So I always work whenever I see something that might create mistrust in me. I immediately look at that and I say, that person and me, what am I feeling? If I'm feeling sad or disappointed or angry or suspicious, all of those I will release and I will come into the place of oneness with them. I come into the place of oneness, that you and I, no separation, because whatever you are, I must have done. Either I've done it in this life or I must have done it in another life. Yeah. So you and I are one only, and you are Shiva and I am Shiva. And with those lines, we come into oneness because the judgment for him has been released. When I look at somebody and I say he's a cheat, and I instantly say, no, I am honest and I am a cheat too. And many times the universe will, if I say, oh no, I've never cheated, the universe will show me the 5 school exams where me and my friends were cheating to high heavens. Yeah. And that's a cheat. Like, oh no, that's different. That's just, no. A cheat is a cheat. And so I am as much as that other person. And with that, I can come into oneness. So what will happen then? When you hold frequencies of trust. So now it's been years and years that I don't lock my house. Okay. My house is open at all times in the day, at all times in the night. It has been years and years that I don't lock the house. Has everybody walked away with all my belongings? No. As a matter of fact, nobody has walked away with anything. Yeah. But my mistrust, I keep looking at and I keep clearing. If it comes every once in a while, if it shows up, I look at it and I release. That's my frequency and I release. So you're asking me, how did I invite that? You invited just how so many people are inviting some scam or the other from their own frequencies of mistrust. Mistrust, again, with frequency of anger, because you felt anger. When you felt cheated, you also felt sad. You felt resentment. You felt a couple of other emotions, disappointed. So all of these are your frequencies which have created the story outside. Yeah. What should you do when you've already been cheated? What should you do? The path for me, as I understand the energies, is always this only, that when I will look at the event, I will look at my frequencies and release those. And I will thank those actors for showing me my frequencies. That through you, I got to see that I'm sitting with so much mistrust. It gives me an opportunity to work on myself. And I come from such an amazing, trusting space. So I'll tell you this. So one of these scam people, and they, scams are phone numbers and they call me. And I keep getting these calls, and normally people will not even pick up calls which are coming from numbers, but I mostly pick up all calls. I'm not necessarily nice on those calls, but I pick up all calls. Yeah. So I picked up this call once, and this fellow said, "Oh, your electricity bill has not been paid." Okay. And I said, "It should have been, but maybe Sudhanshu forgot to pay it." He's like, yeah, your electricity bill has not been paid, but if you're saying that it's been paid, I can update my records. So so I said, okay, go ahead, update the records. And then he said, no, for that, you need to download this particular app. And it's available on Play Store, and you go and download the app, and then I will be able to update my records. And I said, okay. Now I'm on the phone with him, and my internet is working completely fine. And I go to Play Store and I want to download that app. And the app is not getting downloaded. I'm trying 3 or 4 times and the app is not getting downloaded. And I was like, I came to the phone again and I said, I've been trying to download the app. I don't know what's wrong. The internet was working just fine, and now it's not working. I will call you back as soon as I've downloaded the app. Can you give me, the number that I have to call you at? As soon as that person heard this, they hung up the phone. When they hung up the phone, then I'm like, acha, this doesn't sound right. Then I went to Google and I said, okay, telephone bill, electricity bill not paid. And there was a whole write-up on that they will download this app. You will download this app and they will get control of your phone. And on the phone, then they can look at all your passwords and everything. Okay. In all of the dealing, was I coming at them from mistrust? No. I was coming at them from complete trust. So can you imagine, because I'm coming from trust, the event did not happen. Because I actually come from so much trust that the mistrust isn't there. It couldn't play out. Outside manifestation couldn't happen because energy inside was not matching. Yeah. And I never stopped attending calls, and calls keep coming, just a few days ago. And these calls actually bring me a lot of fun. People might be irritated and people might be disappointed and people might be agitated and angry. I just simply laugh. So just a few days ago, somebody called me and said, we are calling from Savory Police Station. And I said, okay, calling from Savory Police Station. They said, is anybody from your family out, like your son or your husband out? Have they gone out somewhere? And I can't understand what does out mean. Matlab, yeah, my husband is out in the US and I don't, has anybody got? So I was like, I don't think anybody has gone out, but what is it that you want from whoever has gone out? He's like, is this Meenal Madhukar? Yes, it is. Is this your phone number? Well, you're calling me. Yeah, of course it's my phone number. Madam, don't laugh. I'm calling from Savory Police Station. So I said, okay, please go ahead. He says, I have received a complaint for you. So I was like, अरे ये ड्राइवर अभी बाहर गया था, पक्का ही कहीं रॉन्ग जगह पे गाड़ी खड़ी कर दी होगी. So I'm like, yeah, tell me what is the complaint. He said, I have received a complaint in a murder case. in a murder case, okay? And you have been named as the murderer. Like, you know, anybody, I don't know what their reaction might be. I just burst out laughing. And he's like, you don't understand. I'm calling from Savory. And he kept saying his name and something. I'm calling from this police station and this and that. And I'm going to send my teams out right now. I'm just calling you to let you know that I'm sending my teams out. I'm like, अरे, what an amazing thing. The fellow is calling me कि तू भाग जा पहले. मैं तो, तूने मर्डर कर दिया, मैं तेरे को पहले कॉल कर रहा हूँ. I'm giving you time, you run away right now. It was hilarious. It was so you know, I'm laughing, and then he's like, you don't, I can activate my police forces right now. I said, कि ठीक है, फिर भेज दो आप उनको भेज दो. Now he's playing the good cop and bad cop all together. Because this is now purely entertainment for me. It's like, मैडम आप समझ नहीं रहे हो, आपको एक बार पुलिस वाले अगर ऐसे केस में हो जाता है तो फिर, you know, this is like a long trip to courts and court kacheri. You don't want all of that. I said, yeah, I don't want all of that. So you tell me what I'm supposed to do. He said, have you committed the murder? As if he's expecting me to say yes. Even if I've committed the murder, I'm going to say, हाँ यार, आपको पता कैसे चला? Oh my God, I truly have. But मैं बताना नहीं. You know, what is the obvious answer to that? It's like, no. So I said, I think the answer to that is very obvious. आप मुझे फोन करके पूछ रहे हो, I'm very surprised. So, you know, नहीं ही किया होगा मैंने murder. So he's like, okay, then if you have not committed the murder, then I'll give you a number. On that number, you put in 20,000 rupees and we will immediately take you off. I was like, कितना प्यारा तरीका है for a murderer to say 20,000 rupees. मैं तो छूट गया 20,000 rupees में. You know, for any murder that I have committed, अभी तक तो किया नहीं, but now I know what to do. पहले murder commit करो, फिर आके 20,000 rupees में बोल दो मैंने murder नहीं commit किया and you are all done. I'm laughing at all of this stuff. And I was actually just feeling so funny because I said, poor fellow, out of the entire universe of people that he could have called and put them into fear frequency, आज उसका कितना ही बुरा दिन है that he is calling the person who completely sits in fearlessness. So I was like, अब ऐसा करते हैं, फिर मैं तो कुछ कर नहीं सकती, आप ऐसा करो, उनको ना भेज दो, घर भेज दो, फिर ये बातें ना हम साथ में ही बैठ के कर लेंगे. अभी ऐसे फोन पे ना मुझे समझ में आ रहा है और ना आपको समझ में आ रहा है. He's like, madam, मैं अपने forces भेज रहा हूँ. That was 3 weeks ago. I'm still waiting for the forces to arrive. But you please understand, the story is fun because you're still sitting in the frequency of trust. I'm still not saying, oh, such a, मेरे को तो उस पे दया आ रही है, बेचारे का कितना ही खराब दिल है, जो काम ही नहीं हुआ. So कितना खराब दिन है कि he had to, the entire universe of people, and he had to call me. But to understand the frequency of masti and the frequency of trust will create only that for you. And if you are not resonating at a certain frequency, it cannot happen. But cheating and scam and all of that is such a common thing because the earth frequencies of mistrust, we're all sitting in them. And it's only when we begin to become aware that we can actually work on this. The frequency of lack comes from mistrust only, comes from fear of somebody having more, me not having enough, and all of that. So the lack, the fear, mistrust are all earth experiences. And so thankful am I that in this particular birth, I was already, even in unawareness, I already came with abundance. But ever since I've come into awareness, I've actually been, by just becoming more aware, I've been able to grow the abundance and grow the trust frequency rather than growing the mistrust frequency. So that is where every scam, every theft, every robbery, every cheat emanates from. Yeah. Okay. So again, over here, to be thankful to the thief for showing you, and then also to accept that you are that only. You are also him. One, the judgment on him, her, then the judgment also to be released, because I am that as well. I am that also. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Wonderful. All right. Let's see. Anybody else has any questions over here to be asked? I think we are good. So fun. Okay. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. And as you take the next deep breath in, this voice of mine disappears as coming from an outside source. This is you. This is your voice. There is no other. And your voice is simply telling you to be in the energy of Meenal. It's your voice of guidance. It's your voice of oneness that is talking to you, telling you to be in oneness with the energies of Meenal. I am Meenal. I am Meenal. I am Meenal. Whatever emotions Meenal brings to you, take a look at those emotions. Every emotion that Meenal brings to you. Good, bad, ugly, wonderful. Whatever emotions the name Meenal brings to you. These are all your emotions for yourself. If you experience love for this one entity called Meenal, there is no Meenal. There is only this love that you feel for yourself. And so in this moment, as you hear this voice bringing you love from you to you, put your hand on your heart and experience the swelling of that heart filled with love. Filled with love. Filled for yourself with love. There is no Meenal. There is only you. And you are so in love with yourself. What else is there to do except to love yourself? And so this frequency of Meenal speaks to you, telling you, I am love. I am Masti. These are lines that you are telling to yourself in this moment. I am love. I am Masti. In this moment, in this now, I am Meenal. Experience the heart flowing with love. Experience it as if your heart is filled with love and flowing. That love is now flowing to every part of your body. It's giving you this warm feeling all over your body. That warm feeling that you experience when you are in love. Because in this moment, you are completely, madly, fully in love. Let the breath be deeper and your love be fuller. Experience this love for yourself. And what happens when someone expresses love for you? Oh, there's that beautiful smile on your face because you are experiencing that receiving of love. And so the smile on your face right now, because you are experiencing this complete receiving of love from you to you. Anchor yourself in this love. Feel it even more, even more. You can't find anything, any faults with you, nothing. The eyes see only love. The eyes are simply holding the curtain of love, and this time it's for yourself. And how when you love someone, you can see no wrong in them. And that's how you love. And so in this moment, that's how you love yourself. There is no wrong you can do. There is no wrong ever you can be, because you are simply love, in love with yourself. And now, to bring one person in front of you, the one whose name comes to you, whoever it might be, that one person that you wish to explore the energies with. And when that person comes to you in the energy, take a look at what all emotions you are experiencing for that person. As you look at that person, just as you did with Meena, whatever it is that you are experiencing for that person. Make a note of your emotions, because the emotions are yours. Look at that person. And in this moment, name the person just as you did with Meenal. I take energy from Meenal. I am Meenal. And now you name, I take energy from them. I am whatever the name is. I am them. In this moment, you are them. As them, feel love for yourself. How would they feel in their body if they were going through the same meditation? Would they be feeling love for themselves? Yes. And now, in this moment, as you are sitting, experiencing their energy as yours, it's you only. All of their energies, no matter what that energy looks like, it's you only. And in this moment, what are you feeling for yourself? You are only feeling love. The heart was filled with love. So even all of these properties of yours, every characteristic of yours that has come up in this moment, as some person, as someone outside of you, in this moment, you are that and totally in love with yourself. In love with yourself as you, as them, as Meenal, as each one, no matter whose name you take. The only emotion of love towards yourself and towards all aspects of yourself. All of these outside mirrors showing you aspects of you, hidden aspects, expressed aspects, suppressed aspects, unseen aspects, unobserved aspects of you. And the outside mirrors everywhere, all of them simply showing to you the love that you are. In this moment of oneness, as you are in oneness with them, what remains? only love. The separation melting away as you experience yourself as them. I am this person. I am love. I am Meenal. I am joy. I am every frequency. I am the power to change any frequency back to love. I am the power. I am the universe. Akhand, 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 I am. Experience the power. The power of love is the power that you hold. And with love, all of these other emotions that you see through others, you see all your other emotions through others, and now in the place of love, ready to transform every emotion to love. And once again, for the last time, give love to yourself as Meenal. Give love to yourself as them. There is no separation between you and anyone. This moment, fully complete in oneness. And tomorrow, some separation might come. And when the separation comes, it is okay. It is simply an experience. And you can go through this process as many times to come back to yourself, to put the finger back to yourself, and to be in the place of love again. Om Mani, Om Mani, Om Mani. Okay, everyone. Lots and lots of love. Thank you, everybody. See you guys another day. Bye.
Thank you. Love you, Ma. Thank you
Lots
so
of love.
much.